Those of you who've been listening to us loyally for the past few weeks, you'll notice that something strange is afoot. We are taking a break from converting our resident Nolan fanboy, yours truly. Since spooky season is upon us, we thought this week would be best spent looking at two beloved horror classics, NOSFERATU from 1922 and Bram Stoker's Dracula 70 years later, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Both of which, of course, based on Bram Stoker's classic 1897 novel. Enjoy.
Okay.
Right.
Who wants to start us off?
I'll introduce our guest here because there's another person
Will
here.
Will there be any questions for me? I remember those questions before.
Yeah,
I want to be the main
questions.
character for me.
Yeah.
For me? All right.
Yeah, this is David. He's not normally here. I know him from real life, and now he's here because I needed someone to help me fight for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Is there not universal love in this room?
I don't know. Haroon said he fell
yet,
asleep. Yeah, I don't know, but Haroon said he fell asleep.
So out of these two films, you fell asleep in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay.
I fell asleep in Bram Stoker's Dracula over Nosferatu.
Well, we'll get to it. But I'm happy to be here, guys. It's nice. You know, I know Haroon from various escapades, and me and Matt have known each other for some time now. And Ben, I don't know him, but I've listened to a few of the episodes. You know, you stop bullying Ben. It's okay to like Christopher Nolan, guys.
I think it's fine as well. I came around on him in the Prestige episode. In the Prestige episode, I absolutely came around on him, but you haven't heard that yet because we haven't released it yet. Because
I haven't watched
We haven't edited yet.
I don't like magicians.
I've never seen it before.
You don't like magicians? You're scared of them?
I haven't seen that much Christopher Nolan. I've seen. Most recently, one I watched was Tenet, and that was just a film.
Thoughts on that one?
It was okay, wasn't it? I don't know. It's strange. Have you guys done that one yet?
No, we're doing primer with that one when we eventually get around to it.
Oh,
so that should be fun.
And I've watched Interstellar. I like Interstellar a lot. I think it's cool and sad and very, very human for being such a giant story. You know, it's very nice. And I think I've watched Inception and I've watched Dunkirk, and that was rubbish. But anyway,
I like Dunkirk.
I don't.
Dunkirk.
It's bad. Anyway, we can. It's just people sailing around and.
Yeah, they get in a boat, and then the boat gets shot.
When we get to Nolan,
Christopher Nolan is not an actor's director, really. I haven't seen Oppenheimer, so maybe I'm wrong, but
Oppenheimer's one of my least favourite.
More like Sloppenheimer.
Like Sloppenheimer.
Anyway, this isn't about Christopher Nolan.
Before we move on, though, I would like to ask our guest, what is your favourite film, your favourite director, and your favourite actor? Because we did this on like the pilot of the pilot, pretty much.
Defunct.
Yeah, I know Haroon's answer. I remember Haroon's answer.
I don't want to hear it.
What was your answer?
Give him some space. Give him some space.
Give him spacey.
Yeah, we'll bleep that out. Anyway,
I do love Kevin Spacey.
My favourite film is, I don't know. I think I like Full Metal Jacket comes to mind every time I watch that. I'm like, wow, this is
Kubrick. Nice.
This is really cool and sad and structured weirdly, isn't it? I like RoboCop as well, genuinely. The original one. It's just cool. Violent, really violent. I like that. I dig it. My favourite director, I don't really have a favourite director because I don't know if there's many consistent ones. Stanley Kubrick's probably the best one, though, right? Just on paper. But I like Spike Jonze, actually. Spike Jonze is probably my favourite director. I think out of the, he's made 4 films. If you exclude Jackass and like music videos, and yeah, Spike Jonze is my favorite one. Her and Adaptation are like perfect films. I haven't seen Where the Wild Things Are or whatever in a long time, and being John Malkovich is maybe a bit least weakest one probably. But,
I love being John Malkovich, but
it's
maybe
a bit too. Yeah,
Adaptation is better.
Adaptation is a film that makes I watch it and I start writing films. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I need to make a film. This guy's like changed the game, and. Yeah, I don't know. I just like Spike Jonze. And favourite actor? I don't know, guys.
Kevin Spacey?
No,
You sure?
What am I, a freak? No.
Drew,
best actor,
isn't he your favourite actor?
Kevin Spacey is by far my favorite actor, and there's no real second place either. I love him.
James Franco.
I could easily say that. I like James Franco too.
Army Hammer.
Yeah, Army Hammer.
Yeah. Wow.
He's
cannibal,
somehow managed to
right?
be the darkest one. How are you trying to eat people? Yeah.
Yeah, fully. An actual cannibal.
Favorite actor though, that's interesting. You didn't ask me favorite actress, and I'll take note of that.
I think it counts. I think an actress counts.
Yeah,
as
Ben's
an
a
actor.
virulent sexist.
I think it's genuinely. I think it's genuinely Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I love that guy.
Oh, okay.
I genuinely think he's a really talented guy. I remember saying it as like a hot take as a meme when I was a kid.
Haroon has seen like 2 Nicolas Cage films.
I've seen National Treasure.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that. It's fine.
Nicolas Cage plays a really good Dracula in a really bad film.
Is that Renfield?
Yeah, terrible film.
Yeah,
But he's
and he
amazing.
plays. Do you know what would have been a funnier comparison to this to Nosferatu or Bram Stoker's Dracula? I think it's from the 90s. Nicolas Cage in a film called Vampire's Kiss, where he's
I've
a man
seen that.
that
Yeah,
believes
yeah.
that he's a vampire, but he's not, and it's really weird. But yeah, I like Nicolas Cage. I think he has a lot of. I actually didn't like. What's the new one? Long Legs.
Dreams
I didn't like Long
oh.
Legs that much.
Oh, I
didn't like
loved
that much.
Long Legs. I thought the first
I
half.
liked it enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
thought
first half
was
I
better.
really liked. Yeah, because I didn't like that the spoilers. I didn't like that the explanation was orbs. And that
Yeah,
was just the
yeah.
explanation for the whole plot of the film was just orbs.
Yeah, there's some
What are those
orbs.
orbs? I don't know what those orbs are.
I thought the worst
Yeah.
part was that you saw Long Legs himself. But I liked it when you couldn't actually see his face properly. Like they just kept.
I
That
think
scene where
he needed to.
that scene where they introduced him was a bit silly, to be fair. But I think it was just so you know how
That freaked me
someone
out.
caught him straight away because he was just going to the shop all the time. But yeah, I mean he was perfectly cast in it though. I think.
Yeah, I do just like looking at that man doing stuff.
Hold up.
Right.
Anyway.
So today we have Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring an enormous cast. Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins
from
is in this
Saw.
one too. The
The
guy
Winona?
from Saw.
Richard E. Grant.
Richard E.
Winona
Grant
Ryder.
is in this. And there's an insane
good, isn't it?
scene where Anthony Hopkins is like, "This woman needs blood," and then he's like, "Anyone's blood will do. Your blood, come here, you. Your blood will do fine." And that whole scene is like a comedy sketch with Richard E. Grant and Anthony Hopkins, and it's very funny. And it's literally like just an old English comedy sketch for some reason, and it's supposed to be taken seriously, and it's not very serious.
I don't know if it is meant to be taken 100% seriously.
Funny.
I think it's meant to be. Yeah, I think it's meant to be like campy.
Anthony Hopkins
and
the whole
and
time
gothic.
is-
It's
and-
very,
is
very
being-
camp.
Yeah.
What if the rest of
okay.
that film tells you that that bit's meant to be taken seriously?
That's fair. I don't know.
Is it the bit where like the werewolf monster
but
has?
it doesn't even.
Is it the bit? Is it the bit where
So it's
Anthony Hopkins
either-
disappears and re-emerges from behind a tombstone?
So it's just an absurdist surrealist comedy then. That's what the movie
No.
is.
It's like
It's like
is though. It
fantasy.
comes across
it's a big,
that way.
It's a big.
No,
epic
because
it's
Lord
like
of the Rings is
melodrama,
fantasy.
like
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings is goofy as hell.
No,
What do you
but it's
mean?
not a
The
surrealist
Rings is
comedy.
goofy.
so all fantasy
what?
has to be the same tone.
But Lord
'Cause
of the
Lord of the
Rings
Rings
is
is
goofier
fantasy.
than this film.
All fantasy doesn't have to be the same tone
What's
at
it
all.
goofier?
All fantasy doesn't have to be the same tone, and I just think Bram
definitely
Stoker's
not.
Dracula comes across like consistently as a surrealist comedy.
Yeah,
What's
it's funny.
surreal about it?
Dracula.
I guess the idea of
The
a vampire
backgrounds
is
are like
surreal.
morphing behind him and shit. Like that's I guess.
But I don't know if
pretty
that's surreal or just haunting and gothic and sort of.
Yeah.
It's like
Movie
it's like
magic.
looking through those old books. Have you ever seen like they'll have like a picture, an art book of just like old fantasy art from like, or like old comic book covers of like horror magazines and stuff like that. It's just like flicking through one of them. It's just such bright colors. It's just nice. It reminded the light. Well, the techniques are a bit like Creep Show. If you ever seen that.
There is one pretty awesome film technique where there's a book open and then a train is passing across the top of
It's
the book.
all so amazing. I love every
Yeah,
single
because
shot.
the
in this
shadows
film.
on the book, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. They had to do some special effects magic.
I thought, wasn't the book giant? Like they made a giant book like a giant, enormous 10-foot book, and then the train. Like, this
It's a
could be
model
bullshit,
train,
by the
though,
way.
right? It's a
I don't
model
know.
train, I think.
I thought it was a real train, and the book is like a house-sized book.
For context, you know, I'm liking the miniatures as a person myself. Matt knows this, and I think the train's a model train because they use a lot of miniature sets in this. Like the castle and a lot of the buildings are they're just going up with a camera and going like that to some you know very, and
Lots
you can
of
kind of
forced
tell, and I think it
perspectives.
adds to the weirdness of it.
Yeah, he said he wanted to use a lot
surrealism.
of old techniques, and like there's a lot of projections and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just like an homage to old, and also like
Yeah, and there's that cinematograph scene where he's got the fucking old fucking camera, and then
that's so cool when they're walking around the streets and. God, that bit stuck out to me. That's the bit I remembered. What I didn't remember is Keanu Reeves' nipple being licked by vampire ladies.
It squirts
Yeah,
blood.
that's wild.
Yeah, that was. And why is Keanu Reeves progressively getting grayer throughout this film? They explain that.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's.
Well,
got
I assume it's because
vampire-
he's technically
been
aged.
sucked
Yeah, because they've
dry.
been sucking his blood, so he's had his
Is it
life
like-
stolen from him.
Is it like that
think.
classic, like Victorian story thing? In Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the book, there's a bit where some lady sees Mr. Hyde and she just like dies like a few days later, and they're like, she saw something so scary it's killed her. Is it like that? He's just like,
Yeah.
maybe it was just tiring doing that accent. I don't know. But...
Well, my lady, I think.
A blue inferno.
Yeah, he's never been the greatest actor, but I love to see
Well,
the guy.
no, he's not. He might be a good actor in other respects, but like actually, like realism wise, you know, we're talking about Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is not a realism actor, you know. You don't get him
but
in to play like a realistic character. Keanu Reeves is like good when he doesn't talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, too
Yeah,
much.
sure.
But I think it's kind of weird because he sort of like when he's Neo in the Matrix, he gets thrown into that world or thrown out of that world or whatever. And in this one, I guess he's sort of playing the same part. Even though this is before the Matrix, isn't it? By quite some time.
Yeah. Anyway,
So he wasn't
I
doing
guess
8 other movies around Bram Stoker's Dracula, just to clear that point up. But I think he was filming Point Break, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, My Own Private Idaho, Much Ado About Nothing, and Speed. Around the time that he was also filming Dracula, so he was very, very busy, and that might add to why he was even more wooden and much more of a nothing actor than he usually is.
Well, and he can't do an English accent.
I don't think he's a nothing actor. I think he's just not the actor for that job.
Yeah, I don't mind him.
If
Is
Keanu
he
Reeves
not a
was,
nothing
if Keanu
actor?
Reeves was a vampire, well, no, because he's got so many lines and everything he says is so memorable. So how can he be a nothing actor? He's just not good at that part. Like a nothing actor, as if he'd be like, "I'm stuck in this blue inferno," but he literally
That's how
he's
he
like,
sounds. That's how he sounds.
No, he doesn't. Because that exact line, he goes, "I'm stuck in this blue inferno." Like, it's just
It
cool.
is awesome.
But it to me, it sort of adds to the vibe. Like I get over it so quick, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
that's
it doesn't
just
bother
how,
me at all.
like that's just how he speaks. I don't know what Victorian people sounded like. Probably not that though, but you know.
There was one line where he he was American, like I think it's when he said doctor.
Doctor!
I think Anthony Hopkins does about 19 different European accents in this movie as well.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh
know
God!
what was going on there.
He should not have just been saying yeah, like we get it. You meant to be like German, Dutch.
Yeah, when
It's
they
like
introduced him.
there was that Bond film. I can't remember what it was. It was the one with Pierce Brosnan, and because they wanted to remind you that the hitman who'd been sent to kill Bond was German, they'd always make him say "und" when he's meant to say "and." Like, and there you go, Mr. Bond, und, sit over there. And it's just the same thing with Anthony Hopkins. Like, there was simply no need for it.
He was a delight though.
Yeah,
He was a delight.
Yeah, I did
He
like
was
seeing
like-
Anthony
absolutely
Hopkins.
doing
There's
it.
one like
But
creepy
again,
bit.
he kept on switching between Welsh and like a German accent, but I don't know, it just didn't work for me. But
sometimes
I
he's
did
English.
get the impression this film was meant to be really cheesy the entire time. I think that was.
I think
Yeah.
it's campy, not cheesy. Campy. Maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
gay campy as well. I think
'cause there's
Gary
nothing-
Oldman was mega camp in his role
Oh
as
my
Dracula.
God.
I think he had a
When-
good
when-
Is cheesy
He's so
then
good. He's the best
unintentional?
part of him.
Like cheesy is sort of a negative connotation taken to something that doesn't believe itself is cheesy.
deep, Haroon.
But if it believes itself is cheesy, then it's camp. Is that how it
Maybe.
works?
No, I think campiness isn't it. Yeah, it's more of an embracing of it. But
Yeah.
I think cheesiness is seen this before. This is like cheesy and lame.
I don't know
didn't
though,
watch this
because
film and go, "This is lame." I watched this film and go, "This is." It's like the goofy scale, and cheesy's on one end, and camp is on the other.
but are Sam Raimi's Spider-Man not cheesy? Would you not
No,
say?
they're campy as hell. What do you mean? There's a chainsaw in the operating room. That's not cheesy. That's just like
But like the raindrops keep falling on my head is pure cheese, and it's amazing.
But that's camp because he's embracing
Maybe
it. If you don't embrace it, then it's cheesy.
Fair. So if we're going by that
Yeah,
definition, then sure.
Well, it's the difference between like. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, we're going all about the place. I would love to go through and just everyone.
Should we start with NOSFERATU? Surely.
No, well, we're already too deep in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
Yeah, let's stick with this one.
I've got no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben, what did you think of Bram Stoker's Dracula, generally speaking?
So I think generally speaking, like going straight to conclusion, I think like Haroon, I did notice myself feeling really tired, especially in the last half. But I'd say the first half I did really like the kind of cheesiness of it, and I did laugh quite a few times when Gary Oldman was talking. And I thought it was especially funny when he's explaining to Keanu Reeves' character that rather than actually being rewarded for helping like safeguard Christendom, they got punished. Keanu Reeves laughs and then he just gets the sword.
It is no laughing matter.
I did find those aspects really funny, and I thought Gary Oldman. And there was one line I think I had to write it down. I think he said, "And I never drink wine." He just pauses just before, and there was stuff like that I did really like, and I thought the set design is also really impressive. I really liked how they constructed the castle. I'm not sure if any of you found this, but I found that both with this film and in Nosferatu, when you're looking at the like residence of Count Dracula or Count Orlok, depending which one, it did actually remind me a little bit of the Grand Budapest Hotel, the Wes Anderson film. Did that remind any of you?
I haven't seen that for so long.
Do you mean it in the way that it's like obviously like almost like theatrical sets?
Yeah, well, like in the sense that you look at the castle in the mountain and you see the snow falling, and there's just something about it. Yeah, but I think that the problem with this film, I thought, was that I think in the second half it did take a pretty long time to eventually get it sorted, and I get that it's not a film that you should really be on the lookout for looking at plot continuity and that sort of thing. But there were quite a few occasions where I did think, oh, come on, like surely she didn't really just realise now that he was Dracula after seeing the green mist leave the abbey that he was living in, and then to feel him crawling in underneath the covers out of nowhere and suddenly say, oh, "You're Dracula? How did I know that?" And then yeah, so it was that kind of thing that I lost patience with a little bit, and I think those last 20 minutes in particular, I thought they felt really, really long.
Really, I like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think there is maybe a section in the middle where I'm like, all right, we can get on with it a bit. But I think the last 20 minutes, especially like that last fight where he like jumps out and then gets his like neck like cut, and then shanked in the chest. I'm having a great time with all that.
And I was. Let me just, when you say, how does she not notice that he's Dracula? He's hypnotizing her, bro. He's a vampire.
Yeah.
He literally, when he says, he goes,
but
look at me.
The whole
see
time.
Me. But yeah, they charm.
He's hypnotizing everyone.
But I thought by that point she'd remembered who she was in her previous life. Has she not?
I don't know.
Sort of. I don't know. She's
That's
getting
the
like visions
bit
of
the film to me.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think she's like, I'm that person. I think she's just like, oh yeah, I'm sort of seeing your past.
I mean, your point about hypnosis is valid. Like, I didn't actually think about hypnosis so much because I just thought it was.
Well, yeah, because it's very faithful to
the writer.
It's very faithful to the old Dracula, where he just has every superpower.
Yeah, he can turn into green.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was something else that confused me. Because he was a vampire, and then you see him transfer into a wolf, and then he's fucking Lucy in the garden, and it's like that's
crazy,
and that just confused me. Yeah, and then he turns
into a pile of
swarm
rats.
of rats. Yeah. Well, which I thought was a pretty cool effect, by the way.
He does.
Two
He
different
does,
types of
there were a
stat,
few
man.
things.
he does both of those things in Nosferatu as well.
Mm.
He turns into a wolf and a rats. Do you not remember? Anyway, we're not on Nosferatu yet. But in the original Dracula book, Dracula
That's how
can
the plague
turn in,
spreads.
yeah.
Ah.
Dracula can turn into a wolf in the original book as well. Not that I've read
So
it,
he's
but
really, so he's really
mine
an
and Matt's friend
animagus
Louis
then.
explained it to
He's
me.
Superman for real.
I think they're just they say in one bit in the film, I swear, that like he's everything that's sinister, like the rats and the wolves and the bats. Like Anthony Hopkins says that, I swear. And like the mist. But I think that he's just an evil satanic creature. Like that's the only bit I found confusing about the film is the reincarnation aspect, because this is such a almost like a Christian mythology of a film. You know, it's like set within the. I don't mean mythology as if I'm implying it's not true, but you know what I mean? Set within the canon of Christianity so deeply. And yet there's reincarnation, which is not particularly a part of Christianity. But I think it's the only bit that's not. That love story, or whatever,
that's not
from
in
the
the
original
book.
story. Yeah. So maybe.
I
But
did
don't know,
like the
that
fact
bit to me was confusing.
I did like the fact that he actually was Vlad the Impaler as well. I thought it was just a nice touch. I don't know if that's actually book accurate or not, but I liked it.
I think
I have no
it's
clue.
based
Anyway,
off. It's based
Haroon.
off him.
It's based
Yeah,
on
let's
that
hear
guy,
from
yeah.
Haroon.
Yeah.
Haroon, what did you think of the film?
I thought that it's the first time I watched it, I fell asleep. But in fairness, I was very tired that day. I think that the sort of origin story of Count Dracula to me isn't something I'm interested in, and you can cut that. But when things get going and Keanu Reeves enters Dracula's castle,
So the Romania bit where he has the sickest fucking armor in the world, and it's the most amazing battle scene ever with the beautiful red and blue sky and silhouettes
Oh,
of
that
people
was
impaled on
nice.
spikes. That's what you don't like.
That is the best armor in cinema history.
it's a
It's
good looking
it's
scene.
fucking sick.
The
Warhammer has ripped
prosthetics.
that
It's like
off so
5
much, you know?
minutes as well. Has it?
Yeah, every vampire and every like blood dude has that. Yeah. The muscle armor,
I
so cool.
just think that I don't know. I didn't really like that so much.
That's like the best
there's-
bit, man.
of the whole movie.
I think that's possibly.
I think the best bit's where he meets Winona Ryder in the streets of London. I like that
that
bit a
is
lot.
cool.
I quite like the train over the book scenes.
Yeah.
Haroon, continue, Haroon.
So I didn't really like that bit. But then when things get going and Keanu Reeves enters Hotel Transylvania, it's fun. Like it's quite book accurate as well, because I've read the first like 40, 50 pages of Bram Stoker's Dracula, I think. And there's a moment where the lawyer Harker looks out the window and sees Dracula like crawling around on the floor being a freak and then crawling up the sides of the castle. And then there is
That was so funny when Gary Oldman's just there.
it's so
like,
funny.
Spider-Man.
It's like it's a
That's so
seriously
scary to me.
it's just a comedy for me, unfortunately. It is hilarious. And then there's that moment, the moment in the movie where Keanu Reeves wakes up to a sort of group of people, I
nipples.
suppose.
Wake up! I think he goes into it, doesn't he?
He
Pretty
does
quickly?
go in there. Yeah,
Does he go
gets
in there?
seduced.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like
Um,
calling his name, and he like finds them, and they come out of the bed and bite him and suck his nipples.
And then in the book, like reading that scene, because that is book accurate. Not maybe like some of the more sexual things, maybe not. But when Dracula comes in and offers what I think are 3 vampire women a newborn baby to eat,
And that Gary Oldman laugh is amazing.
reading
the
that
hand
in a
fold where he's like,
reading that in the book is a wild thing to consume, like from sentences. I don't know.
Does a baby actually get eaten in the book?
Yeah, that shit happens in the book. It's very accurate. It's like I believe it like it's said that it's a very faithful adaptation. From what I've read from the book, it seemed like a pretty faithful
I think it's the
adaptation.
most. But I still don't. I think it still diverges a lot.
I probably agree with that.
Well, the whole plot line of his
sexy
wife and
horniness.
stuff. Maybe.
So yeah, and I think after the castle, after they leave Hotel Transylvania, and Gary Oldman is young and sexy again, and wears a top hat and has weird Matrix glasses and comes to London. The moment like after they have that epic street scene, I'm just asleep. I just fell asleep, and then the rest of the movie to me, I don't know. Anthony Hopkins is there, and then. I don't really care. I don't really care about this movie that much. Like, it is a little bit boring, and then it sort of picks up near the end, and then the movie ends, and then that's the movie. But there are some really cool film like techniques, but I don't really know much about film. Like we've spoken about, like a little Dunning-Kruger effect on me, where I think I know more than I do. But I still believe that even that being said, there are a lot of like really cool moments. Good bits of like editing, hilarious acting, and yeah, I like how there are so many different like pieces of cinema technique used. So like I've talked about the train and the book scene, and there's like that circular blue flame that you see as well.
Do you guys like when Dracula's eyes appear in the sky?
Oh, I found that was too cheesy for me.
It is, yeah, but it fits
funny.
with the movie.
Yeah.
It fits. It's kind
I
of.
find it scary, man. I find it scary.
I don't find any of this
It's
scary.
cool.
It reminded me of. Has anyone seen the original It?
No.
The original.
Well, there's a bit where. Yeah, there's a bit where like there's a guy, you know, the evil bully. Well, in the second part of the original one, he's in like in a mental asylum, and he looks out the sky, and then like Pennywise's face appears in like the full moon, and he's like telling him to kill people, and people like I think people have like, you know, that whole film just like made fun of it a bunch for being corny, but like that's so scary. Like you're not meant to be there. Like you're not the moon. I find old classic spooky stuff so scary. Like I don't get scared by like films a lot, but then for some reason if I go to like a theme park and there's a ghost train and I hear like, this is so spooky right now. I love it all. I found this film spooky. I found it really cool and exciting.
So
I didn't get bored.
Which horror film is your scariest? Just out of interest.
This is a weird one because it's the complete opposite, but I did find the only film I've ever turned off from being so scared of was Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I had to turn it off because I was home alone, and it really freaked me out. But in my life, it was that original It film that ruined my life for years. I used to be scared of showering because he might be in the drain. I used to cross the road when there was a drain on the road. I used to not want to be on my own. I used to have nightmares of him under my bed trying to lure me under. That ruled my life for a while, to be honest. I thought about that daily. Anyway,
I never watched that, but every single clip I've ever seen from the original It is just like the fucking corniest shit I've ever seen.
Tim Curry is genuine. The new It is actually kind of rubbish, and Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise is so good, especially in comparison to the rest of that film and the rest of the performances. But anyway, it's not about It. It's about the other evil baby eater.
So have you anything more to say about Dracula?
Haroon vaporized. Sorry, what's he got?
Pennywise got him. He's turned into green smoke and...
Yeah, man. I love this film. I haven't watched it in years. I don't remember it being quite... I heard people call it like horny Dracula.
It's horny as shit.
I was made slightly
really
uncomfortable by how jarring some of the sex just comes out of nowhere and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's meant to be...
Well,
I don't think it's meant to be sexy. I think it's meant to be scary. Like,
it's though?
Like so. Yes, because it's like compared to all these, especially to these Victorian people, like.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's like this is like their hidden thing, you know. It's the thing they don't talk about. The thing she had to hide having the Kama Sutra.
But we aren't the Victorian people.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are.
You're aware of when it was written and when it's set?
Because you'd be going, let me just call the police on my iPhone. Dracula's in my house, you zoomer.
Okay.
What do you mean? It's not scary to us. We're not scared of sex. Well,
we're not
a little bit, I guess. But
so, but also from the lens of the from the lens of the 90s, it's very heavily implied. Well, it's about AIDS. This film is about AIDS.
Yeah. Oh shit! I never really thought of
I
that.
don't know
Yeah.
about that one, Chief, but
It is. Well, it's about STDs.
The Anthony Hopkins transfusion of blood really
syphilis.
springs out to me when
that
you
as
say
well.
that.
There's loads of
I guess
shots
it
of
is
red blood.
syphilis,
There's
yeah.
shots of red blood cells like throughout the film.
I thought that was meant to just be like the sort of, because it's like the era of discovery, and they would have just figured out they can look at blood cells and stuff, and it was like, again, like the Victorian understanding of these things. But maybe you're right.
It is.
I didn't get much AIDS from it.
It's heavily framed as like a STD. I mean, it's blood transfusion, and it turns them very sexual. I mean, the scene where Lucy's transforming into a vampire, she's like moaning as they're trying to give her this blood transfusion.
Oh,
There's so
yeah.
much sexual undertones, so much about blood. Anthony Hopkins does a lecture on syphilis where he gets bitten by a bat that's carrying syphilis.
And then he licks the
his
blood
fucking
off.
finger.
I guess if you want to go
awesome.
fully into it as well, she gets it from sleeping with a big hairy man, and it would be like, you know, people think it came from chimps and stuff, but
Yeah, fuck.
like this
Think about
primeval being.
Isn't
But
that,
what's
like,
it got to
fake
do with?
though? But anyway.
What's it got to do with like Romanians?
Hey.
Sorry.
Matt, your thoughts on Bram Stoker's Count Dracula?
Yeah, so I've watched it 3 times this year, and I first saw it in April, and then I watched it a second time in April, and then I wasn't going to watch it again, and then I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it again. But this time I was writing something while I was watching it, so I was sort of passively watching it because I think I'd probably hate it if I had to fully immerse myself in it for the 3rd time. But yeah, I think it's the coolest looking movie ever made, and especially the first time I watched it, I found it one of the scariest movies ever that I've ever seen, but in such a unique way to what normally scares me. So there's so many images burned into my head. Specifically, I really like Gary Oldman's shadow moving independently of him. I just found that to be so like what the fuck? Like, imagine, it's just so creepy. And yeah, the baby scene, and then the second baby scene. This
That happens in Nosferatu as well, doesn't it? Yeah.
What, the shadow moving?
Shadows moving independently.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Sorry. But that scene where Lucy's dead and they go into her tomb, and then she walks down in like a white gown holding a baby. I was like, fucking hell! Like that image has burned into my brain, and it keeps me up at night. I don't know why.
I like that the vampires are actually just dead when they're asleep, so you can just sneak up on them and kill them. But that's why Dracula, like, he doesn't reveal where he's. You know, it's very. And they have to race the clock for him to, you know, the moonlight to wake him up. I don't know. Yeah, I think this was spooky.
There's one other potential plot hole that I have spotted, and I'd like to know if it is actually a plot hole or not. You know, when they finally arrive at the castle, and the 3 women vampires are sleeping, and Van Helsing, you know, Anthony Hopkins, just chops their heads off immediately. He doesn't put a stake in their hearts, whereas for Lucy, he said, put a stake in her heart, and then he chopped her head off.
I imagine that's just the pacing.
To kill a vampire, you have to chop their head off. The stake in the heart is just to keep them in the coffin, so you didn't really need to do it, basically. That's probably what I'd say.
Okay.
Stake in the heart doesn't kill a vampire, it is just to keep them there.
Oh, there you go.
That's the
I didn't know
vampire law. Yeah.
But isn't that how Gary Oldman died? Or a knife in the heart, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess but she chopped his head off still.
Oh,
I think they're
yeah,
not
no, she
fully
did. Yeah.
double dead until their head's gone.
I think he just gave himself up at that point, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. But also I guess they had thought we've done enough here, because he's like, our job is done, hers is just beginning, or whatever the fuck Keanu Reeves' voice is. So
Yeah,
I guess they can just take
on
damage
that,
enough.
So does that mean? Oh, it's when they say her job is to kill Gary Oldman, not to become the next vampire. Yeah, I did find that a bit strange.
Yeah, I guess he's got a lot of faith in his wife.
Any more thoughts on?
Yes. Every single time Gary Oldman shows up in new makeup is the most fucking awesome thing ever. Especially when So after he's shagging Winona Ryder, and then they all burst in the room, and then he turns into the big bat thing again, and like he just looks so massive. I'm just like, this is the fucking sickest movie ever made. All the makeup is amazing. Yeah, just every form.
Do you think
Dracula's
this is? Do you think this is better made than something like Blade Runner, for example?
No.
In what way?
No,
Like production design?
No way.
Yeah,
no way.
Because
Not possible.
I agree.
They're doing different things. Have you seen? There's a Ridley Scott fantasy epic, which is it's sort of been overshadowed by a rubbish film with the same name called Legend. And it stars Tim Curry as Darkness, who's Satan. And I was about to say to Matt, you should watch that film. It's a lot like this, where it's very stylized and things sort of glow because it's shot on like that film and things.
Oh yeah, I'll say that.
And I think if you want to see how Ridley Scott does fantasy, that's the way of going about it. But I don't know if it's comparable. I think in a lot of Blade Runner sort of it's a different vibe, isn't it? Because Blade Runner sort of trying
Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, he's not very good, but he's trying to. Blade Runner is trying to sort of depict very grittily a horrible future in its full realism, while also making it this sort of fairy tale. But this film is not too focused on realism, because Dracula's not
surrealist,
like not in like a not in a real in just like not a literalist way, you know. I wrote about this a lot at uni with what's the difference between like realism and surrealism and stuff, but I think this isn't surreal. I don't think it's surrealist. I think it's just an adaptation. Like, and Dracula's not a real being, so it's showing Dracula in sort of through a gritty, realistic lens. I don't know if it'd work well, especially in this film. I think you have to show it because he's literally altering reality with his presence. You know, so why would I don't know. And I think it's just more of a homage than anything. It's like, if you watch something like a cartoon, do you think it's surreal because it doesn't make sense? Or do you just watch, you know what I mean? Like, is SpongeBob surreal? Or is it just not too focused on reality?
There is a vibe of...
surreal.
Yeah, SpongeBob's definitely, like, got huge surrealist elements to it. But I know exactly what you mean. You can have a story about a couple of foxes and, you know, a green ogre or whatever, but... Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but you can have a story with things that aren't humans being like humans, and then that being very real to you, and you sort of believing that and falling for it. We did a lot of talk in the previous podcast about like a movie sort of working emotionally for somebody, and how if it works properly and it deceives you correctly, then you can believe the premise, the narrative, and fall emotionally for it. And I think that's maybe the divide between what I would deem surrealist, which I may be wrong about, and something real. And I don't believe that it takes human beings to be realist. I think there is like, I don't like using this word, but there is a vibe to realism. It just is. And sometimes the director gets it right, sometimes not. I can't really explain it.
Well, I think that's interesting because I think maybe Matt will agree with me on this. So maybe this is the difference between what we thought of it and what you two thought of it was. But, you know, a few minutes into this film, I just bought it. Like, this is the reality these people live in, and I'm happy to accept that this is the reality. Like, nothing seemed peculiar in it to me.
Nothing seemed peculiar.
No, I've seen like a spooky way and like Dracula being weird and stuff, but like I didn't think like it needed like a Marvel moment of like, hold up, what's going on here? Like it seemed like this was just like the normal reality. Like people accepted vampires so quick and like do you know what I mean? Like surely there's other stuff going on in this world.
Like, I think some of the movie making techniques sort of take me out of the immersion of the movie a lot, and the acting does too. Like, I understand that to the people in the movie, this is all very real and scary because they're supposed to be really scared because they're in the movie. But to me, I don't know, it comes across as super campy, and that's fine, and that's good, and it comes across as a campy, surrealist, crazy comedy thing that seems to be a parody of a vampire movie. It seems like scary vampire movie.
Can we get a definition of surreal here? Because
I don't know.
Because I don't think it breaks any of its own rules. I don't think it breaks any of its own reality setting rules. You know,
Yorgos Lanthimos to me is like surrealism.
Yes.
Or the obvious one is like David Lynch, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the original
yeah.
surrealist filmmaker. I don't think this is surreal because, again, as I said, I don't think it breaks any of its own rules. Like it very clearly
It's definitely
sets
not
out to you,
realist, but it's
it's not nowhere near to realist, but it's like here's like the nonsensical nature of this world. We will stick to this. It's not like a lot of surrealist films where you're watching it and you're going,
and it breaks
like,
its own
what?
reality,
Like,
and that's what.
well, it's
surrealism
clearly not
becomes
set in
then.
our world. You know,
Yeah,
it's clearly not
fine.
set of any sort. It's obviously got London. And
Whereas surrealist, I guess, is like
telephones.
it sort of appears to be set in our world, and then the surrealism comes from like, wait, what? Do you know what I mean? So that's where, like, with David Lynch, yeah, it's for Mulholland Drive, for example, it's it's
The
Los Angeles,
uncanny
it's Hollywood.
valley,
We know
basically,
this, but
The
then
uncanny
people
valley
don't
of
act
reality
like this.
makes it.
And people are acting like how they would not in a dream. Like people are doing logical things in this film. You know, they're reacting like they're going, well, I guess if vampires are real, I have to go behead my wife's corpse. Like, I guess like I have to. Like, it's not like it's just like this is what we like. I would argue Nosferatu is far more surreal than Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I actually wrote notes about Nosferatu.
Yeah. I could probably agree with that as well, actually. But Nosferatu explicitly is incredibly surreal.
I think a lot of its age makes it surreal. But yeah.
Maybe.
Should
Yeah.
we transition?
Yeah.
to-
Sure. Someone give us a good intro
J.K.
to
Rowling.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, so Nosferatu is the same movie, but it was an illegal adaptation from Germany in the 102 years ago, and everyone who's in
Illegal?
it's
Did you
dead
say
and everyone-
illegal adaptation?
Yep. Do you not know about this? Okay, this is a good
No.
intro then. So it's a beats for beat adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but they changed all the names, and it's very obviously ripping it off. And Bram Stoker or his estate or whatever sued.
It was his
and-
wife, I think, his widow.
Right. And then, won, and all copies were ordered to be destroyed, and it was lost media for a while. But there was some bootlegs, or some like hidden copies, and then obviously over time, everyone was like, "Yeah, who gives a fuck?" So it's now available for all of us to enjoy.
On YouTube for
Well,
free.
that's-
Yeah.
Well, isn't that like a test of its quality as well? Because you sent me to watch Bram Stoker's Dracula and Nosferatu, not Bram Stoker's Dracula and like Dracula.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that
'Cause
was made legally.
One year before as well, 1921, there was a Dracula adaptation, which I think has also lost media now. Like, you fully gone. But
Like the moon landing.
Nosferatu is the
So how
classic
many
one.
adaptations have there been? Because there's another.
Say like the moon landing.
Many.
Yeah, it's public. It's public, not public
Domain.
IP now. Yeah, you can do with it what you want. We could make a Dracula film. You could title this podcast Dracula
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
and sell it on DVD.
Yeah,
and
that's what we should do with the Nolan movie and cult movie. Bram
I think Lord of the
Stoker's
Rings
Dracula.
becomes public domain in our lifetime. So,
When?
yeah.
What is there like a
1940s.
time frame?
I think it's 70 years after.
70
It's either
years.
something
I
like
think it's
70
100.
years after.
It's
I
100
think it's
now.
70. Is it?
Disney
Isn't it
keeps
I think it's
after?
making
100.
longer.
I think it's 100 in this country.
Yeah, Disney.
Oh, there you go
keep
then.
fucking it up.
Don't know where the fuck you're living,
Well, maybe
David.
not. Well, when we're like, yeah, it'd be in our lifetime then, in the 50s, right?
Yeah. We'll be 50.
Actually,
and
maybe
we
it's
can
different
do
because
Frodo.
his son kept writing all those.
Nah, it's
When
since the
Tolkien wrote
originals.
them in the 20th
Because
century.
Steamboat
19th
Willie's
century.
now free reign, and all
That's
the Winnie the
crazy.
Poohs and all
Yeah.
that crap.
And Wizard of Oz. Well, that's been for a
shit.
while, hasn't it? Yeah. Anyway,
Are we excited for the Ariana Grande Wizard of Oz thing?
No.
No?
What?
you
not
should
even
actually
heard
watch
of that.
Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about that
It's a good
instead.
Right, let's talk about Nosferatu then. Does anyone else want to take the lead? 'Cause-
Hey guys, I've got a joke about this title of this film.
No.
Oh, fuck off. All
I
right.
liked your joke, Haroon. I liked
Thank
it a
you.
lot.
Cheers,
I liked it. I
Matt.
just didn't like that you pitched it as a funny joke. Anyway,
All right, I won't do that again. Next time I have a joke in mind that I think would be right. So Nosferatu, I actually really like this movie. I thought it was. I had no idea that I was going to enjoy this. That it was going to be some silent movie, and I was going to have to sit through an hour 45 and just glaze into my screen and then glaze into my screen.
hold up. You really liked it.
Have my eyes glaze over the screen. God. Anyways, so after I glazed
Some
over my
tribute
screen,
Nosferatu.
I put on Nosferatu. And I was like really immersed into this movie, like far more than I thought I would be. And something happened where I was like, this is a new experience for me. The violins playing throughout the movie sort of like guide the emotions up and down, the excitement up, and then the spooky bells play, and then some text comes on, and essentially, so I think
For a bit too long.
Harker isn't the person that goes to see Dracula isn't actually a lawyer in Nosferatu. He's an estate agent that's trying to get Count Olaf or whatever he's called, Count Orlok, because it's a rip-off of Count Dracula.
Orlok. Yeah.
Orlok, he's so this English real estate agent or German real estate agent has gone off to Transylvania to try and get Count Orlok's business to bring him over into the town where the original guy is living, right? And he's staying at this hotel, and he picks up a book, and in the book there's a big page about the scary, spooky Count Orlok, which is Count Dracula himself. And then as the audience is looking at this page, like I read it at a sort of normal pace because I sort of got adjusted to how long I was given to read pages on the screen. So you can sort of read it at like a medium to slow pace, and it gives you enough time.
Because people were less literate when the film came.
Maybe,
Damn,
maybe,
I
but
didn't even think about that.
No,
Probably.
But what
they
I was
weren't like
trying to-
reading they weren't like reading like hundreds of words a day on, you know.
Yeah.
They were just
But what I'm just trying to get at is, so like to me, they sort of adjusted my reading pace throughout the movie, and then showed me this text, and then played the music in a way where it was sort of a number of descending chords that played all the way down through the bottom, and as you keep reading, it gets scarier and scarier and scarier. And the music the music is in time with how scary what you're reading is becoming. So I thought that was just like a really cool thing, really super simple, but haven't really had that sort of experience watching a movie ever before, and I thought that was like a really good little touch, and everything just like from that point I was completely wrapped up in it, and I had a really good time. I thought it was I don't know, I don't want to I can't call it a masterpiece because I haven't seen many movies like this ever in my life. It's probably the first silent movie I've ever watched.
Same.
But I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I highly recommend any of you listening, if you're thinking of just like putting on a weird, freaky, silent movie for an hour and 45 minutes, this is something that even with like a modern sort of Gen Z hyperactive mind that you will get wrapped into. And I really loved it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, like Arun, I actually really, really like this film. I thought one of the most impressive things about it was just how well they could still communicate the story, even though they didn't actually have any dialogue that you could hear. And if you like, you relied on actors actually being really, really expressive. So, for example, when I keep forgetting his last name, is it Harker? Is that his last name?
That's what he's in
Harker's
Dracula.
from the original, yeah.
He's called
But it's called
Yeah.
Butter. It's called like Butter.
Hutter.
Hutter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hutter.
Which
Hutter.
surely is a German name, but yeah.
Yeah, and he's reading the book, and he clearly thinks that it's a load of rubbish, but obviously rather than just shrugging his shoulders and saying what a load of crap, I'm throwing the book, he actually has to do a really, really exaggerated move by actually throwing the book on the
Yeah.
floor. And I actually really like
Oh,
the
that
fact
was
that
so
they actually
funny,
had to,
man.
I loved that bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. He's like, he just flings the book on the floor.
He does it like twice. He does it in the morning again.
Yeah, he
after.
does. Yeah.
Wouldn't you do
But,
that? Though? If like you were on holiday and someone's just like, "Here's a book," and it's like scary stuff, you're like,
Yes.
it's like the equivalent. It's like the equivalent when someone hands you like a pamphlet, like some like creature in the street. You're like, I want this.
No, I actually found like the expressiveness of the actors really refreshing to see. And yeah, you obviously needed some exposition filler, hence why they had the words on the screen every now and then.
There was
I
barely
didn't
any
think it was too
dialogue come
overbearing.
up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Just-
I was actually really impressed by how well they could actually communicate the story via the visuals, which is really what film was.
Nice
in the
contrast
very
from
beginning.
Christopher Nolan, isn't it, Ben?
I did think this would come up, but the film that actually came to mind when it came to films that I think are too reliant on the dialogue is actually The Godfather, because I remember there's one scene in The Godfather when there's I think it's the camera starts from quite far out, and it's zooming in but very very slowly, and you just see the same people talking on a table, and I remember thinking at the time that when I saw it like, less than a year ago that if you didn't have the access to the dialogue, you would have no idea what it is these people are going through. You had no idea if they're angry, you had no idea if they're sad, if they're happy. And it's just, I think that is something that is quite nice from the silent era in general. And this isn't the only silent film I've seen. I've seen a few like the Laurel and Hardys, like years and years ago. And yeah, it is actually quite strange seeing actors being really expressive. And I can't actually think of many actors today who have a really expressive face. Maybe
Nick
Denzel
Cage.
Washington, but
Nicolas Cage bases his
Oh.
performances on a lot of these old silent
Never mind.
films.
Yeah.
There's clips of him
Oh,
talking
right.
about it.
It's his eyebrows.
so and the reason why is because
And
he
Jim
wants to be
Carrey
really
as well.
expressive. Oh, Jim, yeah, of course, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's great. So.
I
I
mean,
also
yeah.
found this film really funny. I didn't find that scary at all, but I did find it really funny at times. Like when the doctor
I did not
mistakes
find this movie
the
scary.
bite on the neck. Yeah, like when
Well,
the
two
doctor mistakes
mosquito
the bite
bites
for the
really close
yeah, yeah.
together.
And there's another one. I think it's when Count Orlok sees the photo of Hutter's wife. He says, "Your wife has a beautiful neck." And it's just like that. I think is
yeah,
really funny.
that
This
shit's
film.
funny as hell.
There's one
Also-
bit as well. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh well, I was just going to say the you know when Ellen is sitting on the beach, and on the beach you've got
Ellen
all those gravestones.
Degenerates.
Generous.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres from 1922.
Right.
She's a
old as
vampire.
hell.
Might be. She looks
Did
like
it
one.
remind you of the woman in black?
Yeah,
Haven't
sure.
seen it.
Now that you say
Never
it.
watched it.
Isn't that a book from this era too?
No, it's set in this era, but it was written in the 80s, which
Oh,
I found
okay.
crazy.
What?
But it's set around
Oh,
it's set around there.
that
It's
is
probably
crazy.
heavily riffing on like Nosferatu and shit.
Yeah.
Ah,
Another
okay.
gothic horror though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the first horror movie I ever saw and traumatized me. Anyway.
Yeah, I did find that really scary. I still find that one quite scary actually. It's when you see
I had irresponsible
her
parents, so I watched
face.
a lot of stuff. Just goofing. Sorry, go on.
no. That's what it's all got to say about Nosferatu.
Well, when we were talking about the dialogue, there's one bit where he like walks out the house at the beginning. Some like old man comes up to him and goes, "Don't live your life all at once." And it's out of nowhere. It must be something that's like translated from German. That sounds weird. I can't remember the exact thing now, but it's like so deep out of nowhere. And then Hutter's just like, just gets on with his day. Like it's so, yeah.
Do you have any more thoughts on it, David?
Yeah, I wrote notes.
All right, let's go.
I didn't write notes on Bram Stoker's Dracula because I didn't need to.
See.
I remember there's a lot of dialogue that my brain remembers, in that film. But I wrote notes. Yeah. So the whimsical bit with the horses, where the screen goes like pink, it did in my version, and it played like really cute music, and he's just like looking out the window at some horses. I can't remember if he runs out or something, but I remember like really liking that. And I also wrote in the same note, he then throws the book on the ground laughing. So that bit also stuck out to me. It was so funny, and that book was so cool. Like at the beginning, like the guy, his boss? Is it Renfield still, or is it someone?
Yeah. Renfield
No,
goes
it's-
mental.
Yeah,
It's
he's
called
just
like he's
looking.
called like Hook or something like that.
Yeah,
What's he
Shoe
called?
or something. I
like
don't know, but he's like got the letter off Count Orlok or whatever at the beginning, and it's just like nonsense. But he can still
Nah, it
read
is
it. It's like
Renfield, it
cryptic,
is
like
Renfield.
puzzle. Yeah, it's like cryptic puzzles and like like weird, like demonic runes, and he can just read it, and he's like, "You got to go here." And it's like, I liked that. I thought that was cool. And then there's the bit where I looked this up. There's a bit where he's Nosferatu's in wolf form, following him on the way there, and that wolf looks so weird. And I looked up like, what wolf is that? And it's a striped hyena, which is apparently is
I
a
thought
very
it was a
hyena.
hyena. I thought so.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's a very rare animal now. I also found out that vultures purposely poo on themselves, but that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But so yeah, he also there's little bits I noticed, like he kicks his shoes off, like his big old boots off, and it just reminds you that like people of the past were real. You know, like like he just kicks them off casually before going to bed, and I like that. There's a bit where he said this is just me going through my notes. There's a bit where the narrator, whoever that is, narrating the story, and he keeps going, "Oh," and he goes, "He later told me, or he later described to me," and I just thought, well, now I know he lives. So cheers, old 20s ruining of suspense. And then the last note I have says, personally, I would leave after someone sucks my thumb, whether it was bleeding or not. That's the last note I have. You were talking about the other film being weird and like poorly. Like, why doesn't he just? I would just leave. And there's a bit where like,
it's the classic British thing, isn't it? Too polite to leave. It's probably that.
Too polite to leave Dracula's castle.
There's a lot of in both of these films. You haven't brought this up, but there's a lot of negative portrayals of Romani people in both these films we watch.
Were they negative?
They constantly call Dracula's like Romanian footmen his gypsy soldiers who will do anything for him. He's like pure evil. But there's a bit where like one of the
locals
Romanian
are nice to the
well, there's a bit where the local guy's dropping him off, and he's going down that road, and he goes, "I'll go no further." And then he goes, "Okay," and he gets out, and then the guy carries on down the road, and Hatter goes back the way they came, and I
I don't understand that either.
Yeah, that was a bit strange.
Does it just take too much time to turn a horse around for camera? Also, a bit I really liked was there was just a real boat.
Yes,
like they had to just go for. And I was thinking, how did they film?
I was like, this isn't a drone shot. This isn't a helicopter. So there was a ship that was crossing by, and like it looked like the camera was flying as it was passing by the ship, and my brain was like, oh, it's just another boat. Because I'm a moron, and I couldn't wrap my head around.
How they did it.
They had another boat. It must have just been a camera on a boat. That's it.
How is it not moving? Because you can see
up.
the sea, and the sea would surely.
It's perfectly stable.
Moves.
It's so true. It's perfectly stable.
We're talking about a different thing. Oh, but I do remember that as well. But what about when they're on the raft? I found that like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that's what I thought you were talking about.
That was another thing where I was like,
but that boat shot is good.
Such a different time where like it's just like I can't remember. It's in this NOSFERATU where he goes, the raftsmen didn't know what they were carrying, and I was like, imagine that being a job. Like this is an era where a raftsman is a job. And I kept thinking about it, and this, by the way, is set in the same era. Both of these are as the Wild West.
Yeah.
Such a weird, different, such a wildly different aesthetic, isn't it?
So 2 years before Red Dead 2.
Yeah. So I liked it, but my honest thoughts is all these notes are from the first few minutes. I got so unbelievably bored in the middle of this film.
Really?
Yeah, I turned off completely, and I didn't even. And genuinely, I like NOSFERATU as an aesthetic, but I didn't care about this film by the end of it. Like, not to be like contrary to you, but I was like, I was just watching, going, like, what is? I don't even care what's happening now. And then they trick him by just making him stand by a curtain, but.
I really liked the novelty of the fact that I was enjoying a silent movie quite a lot, and that's probably why I enjoyed it so much, I'm guessing.
I think I'm somewhere between the two, but probably more with David, where I did like the film, but yeah, like what Haroon just said, what was keeping me on board was like, wow, this is 100 years old, and the general aesthetic that comes with black and white and fucking early film. Like it just looks creepy, and it just adds perfectly to the vibe of the film.
Well, that's my thing. I'm usually terrified of old footage. Like I really find old footage spooky, but it didn't. I was expecting that. I was like, this film's like tailor made for me. He's got vampires, got old footage. And I wasn't scared. Obviously, there's the iconic shot of the Dracul standing in the doorway. Yeah. But
from
I don't know. NOSFERATU. But I didn't. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed by it. There's actually another spooky old-timey film called like The Haunted House or something, and I'll send it to Matt to show you guys. But there's one bit in that where it's like...
Was that made in the 50s?
No, it's like... it might not even be called Haunted House, but there's a bit where like... It's like an old silent movie. It's the same German sort of expressionist sort of thing, I think, of this one. But there's like a bit where they're like in the house, and like the set's moving, like the ghost is like controlling the house, and then like... you see like this like really deformed like creature like standing above them, and it's so scary. I think it's in Babadook actually, but
well, they watch it in Babadook.
Yeah, because Babadook appears in the TV, doesn't he? But Yeah, I was kind of.
Babadook has a cameo in Haunted House.
Yeah, with Eddie Murphy. Yeah,
Comes out the
that's
portal.
what.
I think we're
I
thinking of
think.
Haunted Mansion there, guys.
The
Yeah,
Haunted Mansion, yeah.
it might not even be called Haunted House. I'll probably struggle to find it, but I think. Yeah, I was a bit. It was like a loud fart with a real wet end. This film was like. I was like enjoying it, and I was like, oh no, it's just too much now. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much silent filmy stuff. It's
It's half an hour of plot stretched out to an hour and a half.
Well, usually the middle of a film is the
limitations.
talky bit.
Hmm.
The bit where they're
Right.
like setting up the whole thing, and it was just lots of like it was pretty shots, but it was lots of shots of just things. And like the bit where they're chasing that guy around the town.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
this is so.
His name's Knock, by the way.
Yeah, I thought that bit was so. But I don't want to be such a hater because I did like a lot of this film, but I think it was just the first half an hour I liked, and the rest of it, the way they chase around town, I found a bit. I mean, I did think it was cool when he climbs down from the roof, and you're like, damn, they just had people doing that, and he climbs down again in such a human way. It's not like a new Hollywood film where he like triple backflip into a swan dive into a haystack, or whatever. He just like lowers himself down, probably pooing himself a bit that they didn't. They probably just filmed whatever roof, but. Yeah, it was all right. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I watched them back to back, so I watched NOSFERATU and then Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Same.
10 minutes afterwards, and Bram Stoker's Dracula felt like a breath of fresh blood. Do you know what I'm saying? It was nice.
Guys, just a really quick aside, just from what you said. Is it just me who used to think that vampires sucked through their teeth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's. I
used to
didn't think that. No, I didn't think that. I thought they bite into it.
Nah, I thought it was like pierce and then.
I used to think they
No,
sucked
I
through
thought
their
the
teeth
blood
like
came
mosquitoes.
through the teeth.
Yeah, like mosquitoes. That's what I thought.
No, you're dead wrong. That's completely wrong. That's not how they do it.
Cheers,
Mermaids
Aaron.
are white.
Yeah, I saw a thing that vampires aren't actually they don't actually dislike garlic. They like the taste of it, and that's why they spread the myth that they hate garlic. So everyone they eat tastes like
That
garlic.
is so clever.
That's awesome.
But it's not that because I think garlic
in
has like
chest.
significance. I remember the clip of when Margaret Thatcher died. This bit might be car. I don't know how political you guys get, but there's a clip of when Margaret Thatcher died, and there's an old lady on the street, and they ask her what she thinks about it. It's in like Scotland, and she says, "I think they should put a stake through her heart and garlic in her mouth to make sure she doesn't come back." And there's like posh BBC reporters like, "Do you think that's appropriate to say?" It's I do.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, I guess.
awesome sauce.
Anything else on
Anyway.
Nosferatu?
Yeah, I just want to say, just so I don't seem like a hater, I was enjoying it, and it was very impressive to me. And I did keep thinking, everyone here is dead, and everyone who saw this when it came out is dead, which is also a bit of a fucked, scary thing to think about.
Their kids are probably dead too.
Yeah.
And their
but
kids
the
are
music,
dead, and then those kids are gonna
fantastic.
die, and then we're gonna die.
Dracula ate them.
We're gonna die.
Dracula won't die though, unless you stand him near a window and he forgets his biggest weakness. Is that another thing? Because in Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's a bit where I feel like it felt like a studio note where when Dracula's first walking around the street, like a random narrator that's
Right.
not in the rest of the film just goes,
Yeah.
"Now, here's the thing about vampires: they can actually walk in the dark." And I feel like I think I
that's
heard
so
that it's not a
funny.
thing in the original. It's not a thing in the original book where Dracula
Well,
can't
he
go
can't
out
come
and-
out.
He can.
Oh.
So I think,
So
but
why
I
is that
think maybe
developed?
I think they're making it into a faithful adaptation or whatever. But I think that's what the studio was like. Now people think. So why in Nosferatu? By purely between the point of Dracula being published and Nosferatu being made, they can't go out in the sun. But it's
Let's
probably
fact
just
check
some like
this.
another Christian thing, isn't it? Of like. Yeah, to fact check it before I dig myself
Well,
too deep.
Twilight
It's like
said-
sunlight being holy.
Twilight did this as well.
Twilight's Star Wars for girls, man.
Fair.
It's not that bad. It's just weird.
It's fine.
Star Wars
I can
again.
get behind that. Yeah, so in Bram Stoker's Dracula,
on.
the Count Dracula can indeed go out during the day, although he's significantly weaker and limited in his abilities compared to nighttime. In the novel, Stoker describes
still, like,
Dracula's
summon a
powers. Yeah, he can't summon wolves and lure women into
But he does in the
mazes.
day.
No, isn't that when they're at the cinema?
Yeah, that's in
Cinema.
the day though, isn't it?
I like the bit where they're like they're like dipping sugar cubes in absinthe, and that
That's
bit
a
felt
good
like a bit
scene.
like I feel it was sugar cubes, right? I was trying to figure out what it was, but I think it was sugar.
this in
so.
Nosferatu or?
No, in Dracula.
Yeah, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
There's
I don't remember that.
Well, it's the bit where they're like Dracula's sort of courting Winona Ryder, and then yeah, it was kind of cool. It reminded me a bit in one of the Hellraiser films. Like I think it's maybe the first one where they're like he's like buying the box in some sort of vague sort of
Racist
Eastern
market.
nation. Yeah, and it just reminded me of that, like the sort of glowing spookiness of it all. And I like to, I don't want to be a hater to Nosferatu as well. Like, to be fair, it was made 100
It's very
years
impressive.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
like,
the shit
I can't
bit blew
hate
my
it. It's
mind. The shit bit blew my
102 years
mind.
ago to entertain me. It's like brilliant. To genuinely entertain me, even at least half to 60% of the time, and it's
If that's your
102
mindset,
years
Haroon.
old. It's like,
If
how
that's your
could you not
mindset,
like
Haroon,
this?
you'd love Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation. Is that by Lenny Riefenstahl?
Face.
Is that
No,
D.W.
it's-
Griffith?
It might be the most racist film ever made, but yeah. It was like the biggest film in America. It was like the most groundbreaking film in cinema at the time as well because it shot like action scenes. I was just
1915.
making
They
it mean.
remade
Let's not. Did they?
They remade it in like 2018.
Adapted from
it
a
was less
historical
racist.
romance of the Ku
How
Klux
could it be
Klan.
less racist? It's about the Ku
Jesus.
Klux Klan hunting down black people. How could it be less racist?
That
think it's
couldn't
probably
be
a
less
critique
racist.
of it.
That's as racist
You know what
as
I mean?
it
Was it
gets.
just
It's not
not-
about the American.
That's the
Well, it's
top.
about the American Civil War. I think I read
No,
about this recently.
it's about the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, no,
It's adapted from The Klansman, a historical romance of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, because the Ku Klux Klan are meant to be the ghosts of Confederate soldiers. That's why
not
they're dressed
to-
like that.
Is that really
Not to make
how?
the pun, but it's pretty
Really?
fucking black
Yeah.
and white that this is an incredibly
Yeah.
racist movie.
Yeah.
We had a debate in a film lecture once. It was at college, and they were like, "Should this film still exist?" And everyone was just like, "Well, yeah, but like, of course."
Well, yeah, just don't watch
What are they
it.
gonna do?
Well, yeah, but
Delete it?
That's
Don't
what I mean.
believe it. No, films like
Yeah,
that
but
should exist.
it's a
but-
crazy, idea that you could watch that film and go, you know what? I guess they're right.
Yeah.
Like you're already halfway there, probably. You know, you're probably already
Yeah,
dipping your toe
exactly.
in.
You're already a lost cause. You're completely gone if you. Yeah.
You're already on 4chan
Alright.
too much. It's fine.
All right,
Alright,
let's
alright,
wrap
alright.
this up. We've got a nice little length here. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
Me
This
when?
is this is a
said.
great length.
That's
You
also
went?
what she said.
Final thoughts? Anyone?
Yeah, I think it was good. Good film. Recommend both of them. But
I recommend both. I could safely recommend both. Yeah.
Nosferatu would be sick to like throw on at a Halloween party.
yeah, just spooky imagery plastered.
Yeah.
I would sooner put on Bram
That would
Stoker's
be
Dracula
a
at a
great
Halloween
film
party
to
though.
watch, like a drive-through.
Yeah.
Or if you went to watch Nosferatu and they had a live band.
Do you want to do ratings? We're doing ratings.
Yeah,
How
we
does
do
your
ratings
system
here.
work?
We do it out of 10
out of
'cause
5.
Haroon does it. Yeah, sometimes
And it's
I'll
literally
do it
out of 10.
5.
How much did you enjoy it?
What does that even mean? All right.
Ignore that, David. That's only
Yeah,
Ben
don't
that
even listen.
Ben tells himself to justify giving Taxi
Yeah,
Driver a 3 out of 10.
Hey, if he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you.
Come and season 2.
I noticed that you
There's no
cut
good
that
or
part
bad
out of
art.
the episodes.
Yes, there
Ben
is.
doesn't think any of this is art.
Definitely is good or bad
I
art.
don't think any of this.
You don't think film is art?
I think films are.
You don't think some films
I've
are
got
art,
proof of you saying otherwise.
though? We have a
You
whole
guys should watch-
podcast.
No, it wasn't that I said the film wasn't art.
Oh, 2 hours of
You
you
said
saying
not
that
all
some
films
movies
are inherently
are
art.
not art.
I give Bram Stoker's Dracula a 9 out of 10. It loses 1 mark because
Near perfect.
yeah, there's just I think it loses 1 mark because it's maybe a bit exploitative in its sexuality sometimes, but
Too horny
That's
for you.
fine.
You're a prude. And you think women shouldn't express their sexuality. We get it. Okay. What about Nosferatu?
there's another thing, like, how can I even do this? Like, film changes so much. It's like if we played, like, Pong, and then we played Elden Ring, and you were like, what do you rate each one? I'd be like,
Yeah, that's
do you want
fair.
to
But
do
we'll just
about
have to do
it?
it.
On
This
a
is what we
different
do.
scale.
You have
we
to
do
do
this
it, though,
here.
unfortunately.
You have to do
It is
this,
for what
yeah.
it is.
It makes sense. I know what you mean.
Nosferatu, you get 2 little mosquito bites out of 2. There you go. I'm not comfortable rating films. I spoke to Matt about this before.
Yeah. I
You
go
have to
back
get
and forth on
comfortable.
it, but since getting
That's all right, you'll
Letterboxd,
come
I'm just
around
like,
on it.
alright, I do this now.
I got Letterboxd and gave Shrek 5 stars and then deleted it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't
Pretty
be.
awesome.
I rated a bunch of films. So I remember rating Shrek 5 stars. Someone was like, Shrek's 5 stars, and I was like, well, how does this rating work? 'Cause it's trying to. If you were trying to make Shrek and you made Shrek, you did it. You know, you're 100% past your grade.
It is true. I mean, if you do meet the objective, then you've met the objective.
Yeah, that's why Christopher Nolan's weak sometimes. Not to bring him up in this one, but I feel like that's why Christopher Nolan misses the mark sometimes, doesn't he? Bless.
Listen.
He does sometimes. I did not like
Like-
Oppenheimer or
like-
Memento.
Did you like Tennis?
Oppenheimer.
Tenet, not tennis.
I
love Tenet.
so I like Tenet, but I acknowledge that it's
I like
really
Tenet.
flawed. But I like it.
I actually have a question for David before I do my rating.
Oh.
David, what would you pair? Because
No,
we're doing
Haroon,
the
you
Nolan
can't have a
movies.
kiss.
Oh, fine. All right, maybe next time.
Sorry, go on, tell me.
What would you
Haroon.
pair Memento with if you could pick a sort of cultish movie that's maybe not so much in the
Irreversible.
mainstream?
Yeah, that's not irreversible. Right?
Yeah,
'Cause
a Gaspar
that's
Noé
the
movie.
first one that.
Everyone go
that
watch
film's good until
Irreversible.
that bit. No,
Put it on
don't.
Christmas. Put it on as a Christmas movie. Cozy up with your family. Open Christmas presents to Irreversible. All right.
That's a good question. What would be with men? So, are you going with the idea of memory loss or the backwardsness of it?
It's just like anything that has
yeah,
a good
some
amount
sort
in
of
common.
link.
Some sort of good link.
Because for Insomnia, we're
Cachet
doing
is perfect for
Cachet,
that.
which is
Wonderful
only.
thing.
Oh, so we're doing that again.
I think we should do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I think so.
Because we did that already, but that was in the old one that we've deleted. But
Yeah.
but the only link between them two is Thriller. They're both technically quote unquote
Yeah.
thriller
Well, maybe you
genre.
should do the opposite and do an extremely linear film.
Ratings. NOSFERATU, I mean, yeah, it's 102 years old. It entertained me. I can't not give it a 10, to be honest. Like, for it to be that old and for it to do its job, it's like, yeah, good job. And for Bram Stoker's Dracula, probably like a 7. Like a 7.
You can say 6 if you want to.
Like a 6.
Just hate on it, Haroon. It's fine, man.
Like a 6 or a 7. It's
Francis
funny,
Ford
man.
Coppola's
It's
not gonna get
hilarious. There's really cool shots.
He'll be dead
It's
soon.
colourful. It's fun. It's a 6.
Well, what are you ranking it on, Haroon? Your enjoyment or your appreciation? You know.
I don't know. Whole shebang. Just the ranking. Just the whole ranking of anything.
Well, will you give it a benefit of the doubt because it's like 30 years old,
Okay,
like you
sure.
did
7.
with the 100-year-old? No, I'm joking. You can give it.
Uh,
You give what you want.
Film sort of plateau in their ability
It's your
to be
podcast, Haroon.
technically. Yeah, I guess. But anyway, 6
Bram
or
up.
7. That's it. Ben, what do you think? Give us a rating.
So Bram Stoker's Count Dracula, I'd probably give it. I think I'd give it a 5 because I did really like a lot of the first half, but last half just fell away from me. And Nosferatu, I'm going to give that a 7.
It's Nosferatu.
What did you say?
I guess I'll go.
What did he say? Oh, cut that out. Don't let me keep that in of me saying that. All right,
Okay.
cut that.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. That gets a 9 out of 10. It's awesome. I like to look at it. The music's sick as well. I didn't mention the music. How fucking
Yeah.
sick is the music in that film? And Nosferatu, I'd probably give a 7 out of 10. I thought it was cool as heck, but I did not love it.
Maybe I should watch Watchmen with Memento.
What?
Oh, Watchmen's so good.
It's non-linear, right? It's all over the place.
It
I
is a
guess.
little.
There's a lot of non-linear films.
2001 would
It's
have been a good
more-
one because it starts right at the start.
All right,
It's so
well,
linear.
everybody, thank you very much for listening. That was our 7th or 6th podcast. And then tune in for the next one. everyone.
Spooky episode.
Is this the Halloween one?
We're
Yeah,
going
it's
to
the
do one more
Halloween
Halloween one. We're
One of
doing
two.
one
Yeah,
more
we're gonna do a
Halloween
second
one.
one.
One of two.
And the
One of
scariest
two.
thing is in Haroon's hidden folder. So we'll just.
I don't get the reference. I don't get the reference.
All right.
We're done.
That's the whole show, guys. Bye, Bram. Bye.